Everybody, welcome to the week in Marvel Avengers Alliance here on G4G. Today is Friday, July 22nd. The background music is brought to you by the Borderlands 2 OST. Haven't used this in a while. And we are going to call this edition the Faiza and Volume Scrub edition. It's going to be a little bit of a two-part edition here. We have to deal with Faiza. The fact that she's in the game. I've already done a video on that. But we're going to do some things that we learned about with her. And we're also going to deal with the second topic, which is what I call volume scrubbing. And let's jump right into that topic. Now, some of you might get offended by this one particularly because you may be in this boat. But this is something that is my feeling, and I can't exactly be dissuaded of it. So what do I mean by volume scrubbing? Well, I'm going to give you an example right over here. This person that I fought on the stream earlier today. If you look at my Friday stream, you will see me fighting this agent. It is the one with a default suit Doctor Strange and a level 7 Faiza. I was like, what? I mean, I jumped into this battle. And I hit the ground, and I'm looking at this enemy team going, you've got to be kidding me. Am I suddenly in Diamond? This is a Diamond quality team here. What is going on? So I fight them, and I'm about ready to kill... Oh, I sacrifice into the agent. This pretty little redhead over here. I banish the agent. The agent lives with 86 health. And I'm like, what? So... what happened was Faiza's passive kicked in and prevented the banish and actually left the agent with about 86 hit points. At that point, Doctor Strange puts out a terrorizing boost. The agent tries to recover a little bit. Faiza, I can't say, did anything of particular note at this point. I think maybe... she may have used her level 2 on one of my characters that had just acted, so I was able to hit her with other characters. But I was like, huh. Very interesting. So the only thing that really runs counter to the suicide meta other than Ethereal could be Faiza. And I looked at this agent afterwards, and this is what I mean by volume scrubbing. Look at the amount of battles this character has been in. This agent has been in. Over 900 battles, and the season is not over. 481 attacks, wins, and 150 losses. Really? Really? I mean, over 600 attacks this person has done, and they're up at the 2,000 border. On defense, 48 and 255. Now pretty much only winning a fifth of their defensive battles. As I said during the stream at the time, I would shoot myself in the testicles. I would Kurt Cobain myself right in the balls if this is what my PvP season was. And why is the only reason why this is happening? This stuff right here. Something has happened this season because of this set that makes people look at their food plate and it just has 20 courses of meals on it, and they just want to gobble it all. They're just... everything is about volume. Everything is about quantity this season for people, not quality. And I'm going to give you a comparison afterward. Take a look at this. So we have the full psychic set and the TOE to protect against it. On defense, almost all the same, except for the transcranial stimulator is added in there. Over, let's see, is the amplifier. Over the amplifier, which is actually bad because the amplifier plus her Doctor Strange's shields and Faiza preventing death would probably be a lot better. But let's remember those stats. Over 900 attacks and whatnot. Now, we come and take a look at my stats as soon as I cycle the jets over here. Or apparently we have laggy clicks. $178 and 5. Not even 200. 60 and 145. If I look at my tournament history, where is it that I can... Oh, I can do that. I have to do that from PvP. And I look at I compare that agent to my last season. A last full and complete season. 379, so 330 and 30. 360. I mean, compared to that agent, I just find that ridiculous. And this is what I see so much of this season, is that people that are up this high, well beyond the Ada Vibranium border, simply there because of just sheer numbers. Where is the efficiency this season? I mean, we have somebody like Not Important, which I think was fairly low on this guy. Alright, 251 and 52. Ooh. This guy, though, this Gil Legacy, I think he was really, really efficient. Alright, yeah, 204 and 46. It's a little bit better. I am just floored by all of this. And there was one guy, this Bat Code name. Kudos to this guy. He's in Vibranium because he's 35 wins, 2 losses, but 135 and 117. He has a winning record on defense. Why? Because he's going full bore attack. This is a Spitlord team that had my Cloak and Dagger really low because her intangible never kicked in. So she got followed up with a Rapier from a Spitfire attack, but Spitfire single targeted, the Rapier followed up, and then Spitfire AoE'd. On my agent's turn, when I went to use the cup, I took a shot from the foreboding device that knocked me out of banish range, because he gold spent his way through the armory. But it goes to tell you, you probably could have an extremely relaxing season if you just buy up all the stuff in the beginning and run a Spitlord team. But just, there's so little efficiency, and what I'm honestly going to say is skill at 2,000 this season. It's just raw numbers. It's just, let's throw stuff at PvP, and eventually we'll get there. I mean, if I was losing a quarter of my attacks on offense, I would be like, oh, yo, something's wrong here. I need to do something different than what I'm doing. Because if I can't get through my daily 5 without pretty much a statistically guaranteed loss, I mean, I'm just gonna claw my fucking eyes out. And when you combine that with the massive defenses that it pulls, absolutely blows my mind. And I'm just, frankly, I'm just tired of seeing it this season, because it, for somebody who is working what I would believe fairly hard and trying to be efficient and trying to stay afloat without dropping and everything like that, I feel people just muscle their way in there by constant attacks. It's like, eh. I mean, kudos to them. They are getting it done, and there's certainly a lot of people that have legit Ada finishes throughout their history. It's not like they were diamond players and suddenly said, oh, I'm just going to do 1,000 attacks and I'll get there this season. Part of it is the way the set is. That Spec Ops basically gave you a PvP viable set as a door prize. And not only that, but one of the pieces of the set is essentially a scroll of Rudamaroth. Now you may say, well, how do you feel about that thing? Do you think it is better or worse than the scroll of Rudamaroth? I'm going to say the Psych Operator is different from it. I'm not going to say that it's better or worse. I'm going to say that it's different. Because yes, you do get the pesty style buff removal with it, or the buff prevention removal, but you don't get the staggered, and you don't get the opportunistic debuffs, which are certainly handy as hell. So I'm going to say it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges. They're both fruit, but they are not identical fruit. So that's kind of how I feel about that. And that set is really, really strong for PvP. And it was thrown at people. So I believe that set has honestly given people who would not normally do particularly well in PvP, it's given them quite the chance. As you can see here, Red She-Hulk with Faiza actually works out pretty well, because the healing from Faiza augments Red She-Hulk's healing when she attacks, and gets that gamma. Colleen, of course, is doing some nice interrupts here. There's a member of my Twitch audience that happens to really like Red She-Hulk, and definitely wants me to never underestimate her. Hopefully, Faiza survives this round. We gotta make sure Colleen has her interrupt over here. Faiza's getting a little low, and one thing I've learned about her is that she really is, wow. She's very self-sacrificing. She seems to heal other people more than she really ever heals herself. I mean, I tried some experiments with her in the simulator before, and she was really, really good at healing others, but I can't say I ever saw her heal herself that much. So, in learning a lot about Faiza today, because after the stream was over, she was available and wasn't training, I said, I'm going to run some tests on her. Well, through PvP, we discovered that she is capable of blocking the corned beef. If you use the corned beef to suicide into somebody, she will stop the death of the recipient and leave them at about 89 health. She can stop you from dying if you use the corned beef, aka the feed Denrock, but it's not always consistent. If you want consistency, the chalice is the way to go. But if you don't have the chalice, you can certainly use Faiza's passives. The Wielder of Excalibur, the Lead by Light bonuses are pretty cool, and one of the reasons why it works against the meta right now is that the moment you get Ethereal Strike, you can pierce through phased people and hit the intangibles. If you can give Faiza a counter that maybe she acts before she's supposed to, like, say, the Neurotrope, which is not too bad of a thing with her. She is a Finest Hour hero and does do Rising Up. It's very good, because she'll counter with her level 1, which stacks Lead by Light. So you can absolutely accelerate Faiza's Lead by Light stacks by giving her a counter or a join-in or something like that. Of course, if you remember me talking about the Stalker with the Power Cell, and the fact that somebody gets hit with the Stalker and everybody on your team counters, that is quite a good tactic with her. She's kind of like the Small Hadron Collider that's on sale, or the Singularity Matrix. The quicker you push her through her 3 stacks, the better that she is. She One thing that we noticed on the stream is that when she protects you from dying, it's not like other people. You cannot confuse her with Phoenix and Valkyrie. She stops you from dying, period. It's not like you die and then get res. She literally like stops you at death's door and pulls you back from falling over the cliff. So anything that activates when you die will not activate if Faiza stops you with Edge of Mortality. So keep that in mind. You can't run a suicide agent that gives buffs on death when she's around. However, you certainly can banish somebody and have a fairly high chance of not dying, and then maybe use something to build yourself back up, like the Spirit Blade, or the Signpost, or the Vampire Sword, Scudam causing drains and stuff like that. It's absolutely viable. One of the questions that we had about her after yesterday is for triage. If Pesty is on the field, what happens with triage? Well, the question is confirmed. And that was thanks to Anado stopping by the stream today. He did say that if Pesty is on the field and you use triage and triage expires, Pesty's passive kicks right back in afterwards. Also, if you notice, triage is not a bordered buff. If you are upset that she cleansed off your manipulated or something, you can simply scroll or black as void triage off. Hopefully. See, it says removes and prevents debuffs. I do believe you can, just like a Mystic Shroud and just like a Warding Essence, simply scroll or black as void it off, and then triage is gone, and then you can go back to work. One question we still have is, if somebody has Doom and you use Bright Blade, will it cause Doom to proc, or will it remove it cleanly? I have discovered that several of the bosses in the simulator do have Doom mechanics. And believe it or not, obviously no Dr. Doom is not one of them. But up here in the beginning, Executioner does it with Necrotic Blast. And then as we come down here, you can test things out with Pesty if you need to. Evil boss version of Iceman, aka Death, has it. And Surtur, the group boss, has it on one of his sword abilities. So if you want to experiment around until I get the chance to do it and release something regardless, you can attempt to fight Surtur, would be my recommendation. Wait until you get Doom on you, and then use her Bright Blades and see if it goes away cleanly. Now, her Beneficence, level 6 over here, are all heals, so these aren't buffs. These will never be quick actions, and they don't benefit from War Stories, but Bright Blades does. So, if you happen to have a rally, or War Stories from Night America, you absolutely can reset the cooldown on Bright Blade, and that was JW who happened to point this one out. Blessing is only up for 1 round, whereas the cooldown is 3, and Bright Blade is up for 2. So you can, at least after that first round, if you want to get the Blessing back, just have Night America use War Stories. She's probably going to be super obnoxious on defense, not because she's so great, but simply combining her with certain other aspects are going to be really tough. First of all, after her first attack, she's going to go right through your intangible, if you're using that. Secondly, she's probably going to stop somebody from dying, and most likely that first high priority target that you want off the field, she's going to stop them dead in their tracks. And unless you have something to finish them off, like another attack right afterwards, it's going to be an issue. See, all allies who are saved this way are granted a hot, have all debuffs removed, and receive bonus healing from her level 6. So that means that if you kill somebody that is just about ready to take a turn and then she saves them, let's say, an agent with the psychic set. You now have to deal with whatever he has got coming. Now, it doesn't say, though, if they do get manipulated or pestied, can her passive over here still remove the debuffs? Because if you have a bunch of dots ticking on the person, but they can't be removed and they're at 89 hit points, like 3 stacks of bleeds or magic debuffs, they're probably just going to fall over anyway. So that's something to consider. Also, thanks to one of my Twitch viewers, PE, he did bring up that Hellcat might be an interesting counter to her. Her level 6 Laceration applies a bordered agony, suppresses most effects that prevent or remove debuffs. So in other words, it's like manipulating, or like pesty, single target. So, could it be that Hellcat winds up being the counter to Faiza Hussein if she does wind up showing up in the meta? Now, who she might be super annoying with, she might be very, very annoying to constant self-healers like Colossus with his Phoenix 5 passive. Despair is pretty much, Despair got so popular because of him, and because of him being tied up with Emma, and healing the agent, healing himself, and healing Emma, just constantly Phoenix Force. Despair became so important because of the rise of Colossus, because he was basically tagging along with Emma's coattails. Ionic Devourer came around and kind of shut that down, and of course the healing with Scudam. So now here comes somebody who can push Despair off the table. Will we see heal tanks like Phoenix 5 Colossus coming back? What about Wonder Man, who's immune to a bunch of stuff, and he has the molecular reconstruction, along with the fact that he has an ISO that says it lasts 2 rounds, and it can't be removed. And he likes Rising Up in Finest Hour also. So, can we see Wonder Man tank again? Will we see Colossus tank again? Will we see really stall tactic defensive teams with survival training and like Groot and the agent running a lot of shields and a lot of healing and everything like that? Maybe an ID card will come back. How about you hit the agent and he gets field medic and he gets ID card? Certainly could be very interesting on a defensive standpoint next season. For Groot, let me tell you, Groot went into cunning form twice, and Faiza simply straight up ignored him. And he even died in cutting form once. So I was running in the sim, letting Groot get beat on to see if she would stop him from going into cutting form. She didn't really even bat an eyelash. Now, it was only twice, so I'm not saying it will never happen, but she failed to do it twice, and she didn't stop him from being killed in cutting form 1 out of the 2 times. He made it out of cutting form the second time, so she may not have a lot of good synergy with Groot, but if you run a tanky agent and Heimdall who negates stealth, and the agent runs lunacy, stopping subtle and everything, and you're really tanky with like a Blade of the Guardian, a Magneto shield, the second level of the Lantern of Doom and everything, we might see incredibly obnoxious stall defense teams next season. Sandman with Scudam in his own ISO. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, and we do have to keep in mind that we may fight very defensive defenses next season, like the way it was Rescue and Falcon back in the day, or Rescue and Air Pressure Invisible Woman, and how annoying that was, especially if you were dot based. There was just nothing you could do against them. Constant shielding, constant healing from Rescue. So Alright folks, that is the week in Marvel Avengers Alliance. I dealt with my feeling on people that are high up in PvP simply due to sheer volume. And of course the little gift bag of gear that we got in the last Spec Ops. I mean, they literally gave us a full set to be used in PvP. And we also dealt with Faiza and some of the stuff that I learned today after doing the initial first look video. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good weekend. Good luck in PvP until the season ends. Stop by the Twitch stream, watch us, and talk to us as we end up this season over here. And as always, give a like on the video if you like it. Subscribe if you haven't. Join the Napalm's army. And keep the comments rolling down below. See you, everybody.